Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Книга Кришны, Верховная Личность Бога.
Krishna, the Personality of Godhead book,
Глава 47.
chapter number 47,
Гопи получают послание.
delivery of the message of Krishna to the gopis, continuation today.
Различные пути достижения
All
цели.
these different ways of determining the ultimate goal of life are compared to rivers, and Krishna is compared to the ocean.
Как реки устремляются к
As the
океану,
rivers flow down toward the ocean, all attempts for knowledge flow toward Krishna.
когда после многих
After many births of
поисков истины,
endeavor,
человек
when
приходит
one
к
actually
Кришне,
comes to Krishna, he attains the perfectional stage.
Кришна говорит в Бхагавад-гите,
Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita,
«Шоки катарастешам авьяктасьяктам чатасами». Все стремятся постичь меня,
all are pursuing the path of realizing me, but
лишенными
those who
бхакти,
have adopted courses without any bhakti find their endeavor very troublesome.
нельзя понять, не обретя.
So Krishna cannot be understood unless one comes to the point of bhakti.
Что человек может обрести без бхакти?
So what can a person receive without bhakti? Well, anything, matter of fact, even liberation.
Но Кришна останется недоступным.
But Krishna will still remain unreachable. There will be no ananda,
Безграничных отношений,
limitless relationships with Krishna.
таинственных глубоких.
All these mysterious deep energies surrounding Krishna.
Не будет этого вечного интереса,
There will be no eternal
стремления.
interest and aspiration, this enthusiasm. This will be just an eternal peace.
И покой он, шанти,
And this peace,
начало.
Shanti, this is the beginning, as it said, the beginning of the civilization.
Счастье, удовлетворение,
Happiness and peace of mind, this is just the beginning.
с этого начинается цивилизация, появляется
A civilization starts with it. Then that's when Brahmanas appear to be in a society.
шама,
Who are the Brahmans?
то есть шама означает умиротворение.
So Brahmanas are shamo, which means peace of mind.
Сейчас найдем среди обычных людей кого-то
But we can barely find any people in our society
глубоко,
that are in this peace of mind, that are
глубоко,
truly and deeply
глубоко чувствующего. Как глубина океана.
that are truly in this state of
Что его
being
не беспокоит.
of having this peace of mind. When you are in this peace of mind, it means that you're not troubled by any problems of this life. It's any glimmering in the air, any tiny blow of mind. It's either you cry or laugh, cry or laugh. So you see, an ordinary person is not even capable of collaborating with all these elements of nature. So when Brahmanas appear to be in a society, then when the civilization is starting, and people get satisfied at what they already have. They don't blame anyone around them, so they accept all the laws of the destiny deep in the heart. So one thing is when you learn, you read, you understand, but the other thing is you accept it in your heart. Just like eternity. No one pays attention to eternity except Brahmins. All people are trying to pursue this sensual enjoyment. People are either happy or sad, they kill each other, but no one can see that we are in this eternity except Brahmanas. Even some philosophers say that there's no time. It's something that we just feel, we sense it, and we measure it differently. So there's no example of it. So it's probably just because we feel either thirstiness or we've been hungry. We just don't have this solid standard. When you are on the sun, there's no such a notion as a day, but on earth we have this notion. So probably time doesn't even exist. This is just an eternity. So there's a measure of eternity, different measures, different relationships. So if my living time is just 100 years, so I have my own measurement of the eternity. So my eternity comes down to just 100 years of age. But Brahman does not have to identify himself with the body. He has to stop evaluating himself and other people. So Brahma is in a deep state of peace of mind. So that's when the civilization starts. So there are different forms of life that measure the time differently, and we all think that life is long. Even the ant thinks that it lives its own 100 years. So this illusion is really big. It's when we identify ourselves with the body. So there's brain and heart beating and organs of perception. So for an ant to live one day, it's a really big deal. For a person, well, but if you just distribute and segregate this time down to an atom, we won't even feel anything. And when you think about it universally, you will not even feel it. We only can feel a heart-beating pulse. So when yogis, they slow down the rhythm of heart beating, they start feeling everything differently. Time and everything that is happening around them, when they stop eating food, when they slow down their breathing, they see everything in a different way. They are approaching the state of the eternity. And by the end of life, every person is supposed to understand that he's just a soul, just technically, it doesn't mean anything yet. You're not supposed to make any conclusions yet. You just have to understand that you are not your body. We can just feel that I'm not this body. It's just, there are no teachers for Brahmins these days. We only see some silly people these days, very often. They probably seem to be seem to be in this peace of mind state, but it's not true. You see, there are two variants. It's either you're silly or you're wise, but usually people die being silly. Just people think like, oh my God, why do I even have to think about it, about the sense of life, like it's so difficult, it's so hard. So they are afraid of the eternity. This is so strange. Why are they afraid of even thinking of it? It's all in tamas, because when you're in tamas, everything is perverted. And here it says that this is a very different mission, task. So just by understanding time, you will just find yourself in there, but without Krishna, and still you will have even a more serious problem. Here, this body, of course, but at least you can talk to someone. Well, sometimes you can just be compassionate, or you can be happy for someone else. This is so important to collaborate with each other. But if you achieve the eternal peace of mind and there's no one to talk to and there are no senses, no other relationships. So this is like hell actually. This becomes like a hell. So understanding Brahman for a devotee is like hell, it is said. If he has already realized and felt the taste of bhakti, taste of Krishna's nature, a devotee is very afraid of being dissolved in Brahman. This is like a suicide, like a spiritual suicide. It's like you exist there and at the same time you don't exist. You exist eternally, but this is like an eternal punishment for you without being together with Krishna. You don't need this solution, you need feelings, senses, with help of which you can sense Krishna, to see him, to hear him, to feel him eternally, constantly. So you need a spiritual body that suits these desires, just like Krishna's has. A perfect body. Without bhakti, this body does not even form. So body consists of organs of senses. So for example, insects, they don't even have an intellect, such an advanced intellect. How are their bodies even created? For example, a grasshopper, why does it need so much of intelligence? Well, it just has feelings, senses. Well, you can jump, you can play the violin. We have this image because they create some really interesting sounds, these grasshoppers. But in case a danger comes, grasshopper will always just escape. So that's the way it lives, based on his senses. You don't have to have this developed consciousness. All these plants and animals, insects, they live in definite senses. Even when you sleep, there's no intellect in there. So you only have some feelings while you are sleeping. So everything is formed based on your first touch. Well, for example, a stone can feel your touch. Some kind of a growth that we cannot even explain it. So this feeling is really subtle, but the stone, it can be living for billions of years. It is submerged into these senses. But the stone does not realize, does not feel all these billions of years. So that's all that this soul has in the shape of a stone. But this condition is separated from God. Even in hell, there can be some enjoyment, but some entities, they find some ways to do it. Well, this is the nature of a soul. First, we have to perceive. So first it's stone, and then it evolves into something else. It's hard to explain the sense of growth, but we can explain it when we are growing. This is kind of an extra energy that we get. A child does not realize it's growing. Only his or her parents understand it. Only they can see it. Children are unstoppable. This is called growth. This is the desire to possess this energy and express this energy. So these minerals, they also have some energy. Gemstones, they're considered to be as living entities as well. So for example, Dr. Tursunov, he uses diamonds, for example, to heal people. You see, to be even born a gemstone is also a thing that you still have to deserve. But still, there's some signs of life even in stones. So stage by stage, it evolves. And when you get this human body, it's like you have more answers than questions because you want to self-express. And then this person achieves these kinds of evolution. He thinks somewhere inside of him or in his mind. There's so much of imagination, so many plans, so many names for himself, so much memory. He lives in his subtle body. But all of the rest living entities, they live kind of in external life. The psychological system is not so well developed, not so subtle. There's no such memory of love, just like we have in our hearts. And a plant, for example, it's like it's living in a dream. It's like it's sleeping. It's changing it just within the frames of its nature. A human, it can actually overcome some frames. It can go out or escape out of the frames. And a human has a choice. You can be a person, but you can live alive like a pig. A pig does not have a choice. Dogs, cats, it's just a strict nature. They just follow their nature. But a person is never satisfied with any kind of the position in his life that he has. That's why he tries to copy animals or other people or some saintly people. And we all of us solve our troubles differently. But a person starts to be a person when he starts following some austerities. Otherwise, he'll be like an animal. So this is the austerity of a mind. When you have this peace of mind under any circumstances, that's how you remain to be an elevated person. Those who are confused by duality, happiness, or depression, it's really hard to go on this way, to develop. Only when you possess, when you receive this love, when you are engulfed by the process of bhakti, serving to Krishna, that's when you receive this love. And thanks to this bhakti, this person might not even notice what's happening to him. He doesn't even pay attention to that. So this condition of consciousness, it alleviates this path of development, and given the same circumstances, but without bhakti, everything becomes so difficult. It's really hard. Even understanding Brahman, even understanding that you're not this body, until a person is touched by this understanding of the unity with God. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells us about three paths: Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. Those who are too much addicted to fruitive activities are advised to perform actions which will bring them to Bhakti. You see, not all are supposed to have this Bhakti Yoga, to follow Bhakti Yoga. But you see, in Kali age, there are no other paths, no other ways. In the age of Kali, there are no other ways. There's only one way: the name of God. But don't think that when you start chanting holy names, you start following all the bhakti way. It just has some inclusions, some material things as well. Well, this person by fact is called a devotee, but it's still Kanishka. He's still Kanishka. He's a devotee because he believes in something, he chants holy name, he's got this faith already. Of course, this is already a high level, Tisadhikari. So from this platform you start practicing spiritually, but still this person has all these anarthas. Some disadvantages. But in close relationships, he is always gonna be troubled. He will always be making some mistakes, criticizing someone. In close relationships, he will give some trouble. So that's for Brahmins. They're trying to avoid people that make some troubles. Some even try to leave the families just for this reason. Because their wives, they're going to be disturbing them. This is the nature of a woman. She's more passionate. So how does she get all this power? When a man performs austerities, wife gets all this power. So Draupadi was as strong as Bhishma Deva actually, because she was performing some austerities. So, and Dhritarashtra's wife, she also put a special band on her eyes. She also performed these austerities, and she received it well. She was very strong by the strength of her character. She was extremely strong. She was not even weaker than Bhishma Dev, just because following these austerities. And there are no people like Bhishma Deva actually. No one could actually follow all his promises. Only he was able to do that. He was the most powerful man at that time. So he was fighting just to follow his promises. And Dhritarashtra's wife, she was shown as well. Remember, she put this band on her eyes. She has accumulated so much power that she could actually make her son Duryodhana immortal. But Krishna didn't allow it to happen. You see, because she was controlling her senses all her life. But still it says it's really hard to follow this way, because Dhritarashtra and Godhead, they were suffering a lot. Well, of course, Pandavas, they were suffering as well, but not that much, because Krishna was around them. He just relieved all these problems for them. So there's a verse in Padma Purana. If you already serve Krishna, why do you have to perform any austerities? Austerities are meant to reach Krishna, but if you already achieved Krishna, why do you have to perform any austerities? All these rules and instructions, they're all there just to reach Krishna. But if you're already with Krishna, why do you have to even follow all these instructions? Why do you have to limit yourself in food, in some other things? If you already have this pure bhakti, why do you even need all these things? So Pandavas, they were not just performing austerities, they were developing their relationships with Krishna. So he was so proud of them. He said, like, look at my devotees. Then they just never fall down. So these people, you see, they have, look at those people, they have everything, they have power and money and wealth, but they're all fallen. Duryodhana was just like that. But look at my devotees, they have lost everything. But they have so much love, so much wisdom, and they still live in the forest. No one can compare to them. Those who live in the castles, they're fallen. Those who live in forest, they're elevated. So Krishna has elevated his senses to such an extent that when they came back from the forest, so Dhritarashtra was asking Sanjaya, because he was really boring. He's heard a lot of adventures of Pandavas in this forest, and he has understood they had even become stronger, more powerful, but not weaker. So he was very worried when Pandavas were coming back to the kingdom. Dhritarashtra was asking Sanjaya, are they coming back? Are they already here? Yeah, there's so many people, there's like a whole crowd of people, everyone is cheering, everyone is glorifying them, singing songs, even demigods were dancing in the skies. Pandavas are coming back. How do they look? Dhritarashtra asked. Are they tired? Are they blackened? Are they old? Gray hair? Sanjaya said, no. They shine just like demigods. They just shine all this power and strength out of their bodies. So yeah, probably Duryodhana's path is going to end. So you see what the answer of an easy life is, not in the external circumstances. Well, you can say, well, yes, if there's family, money, and car, and house, the life will be okay. It will be easy to balance out. You see, now it's not going to be so easy. Life cannot be easy. It says here, a very difficult life you will have. Of course, if you put some purposes in front of you, you can lead your life being silly. If you set some purposes without Krishna, you're going to have so many troubles. You will get so confused. Who is there? Either it's politics or work and family, there will be so many difficulties. If you're a boss, you will always have some difficulties with his workers. If you're just a worker, an employee, you will always have some problems with your employer. If you have a lot of money or if you don't have any money, there's always a problem. Doesn't matter. Everything is so hard without bhakti. Everything is very difficult. So 3 paths are described here: Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. Those who are addicted to the pursuit of empiric philosophy are also advised to act in such a way that they will realize Bhakti. Karma Yoga is therefore different from ordinary karma, and Jnana Yoga is different from ordinary jnana. Ultimately, as stated by the Lord in the Bhagavad Gita, only through execution of devotional service can one understand Krishna. That's exactly what the Lord has said. Just stay there. If you do some karmic activity, just stay there. If you're a teacher or a scholar, that's okay. So just add bhakti to whatever you're doing. Just make it your yoga. Make your family life, your work, making money. Add Krishna to all of this and make it yoga. You see, yoga is not gymnastics. It's a connection to God. Every process should be connected to God. So there can be many different paths, just like rivers. Bhakti Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, this is the general path, but there are a lot of branches. Everything can be yoga. Every chapter of Bhagavad Gita is also yoga. Every verse of Bhagavad Gita is also yoga. Every verse of Srimad Bhagavatam is also yoga that is connected to Krishna. Different topics, but if you add Krishna, but if you get away from Krishna, it's not yoga anymore. It's called Ku Yoga or A Yoga. It's like separation or breakage. This is an individualism. This is difficult, so you start worrying. How do I keep it? How do I save it? How do I get something? What am I supposed to do? What do I have to do? So you start having these problems inside your mind. But when you control your mind thinking only about Krishna, you don't have to pay too much attention to these material things. Krishna will take care of all of it. The absolute controller. He is the absolute controller. He is already taking care of you. It's just now we are separated from him because I'm saying to myself that I can do it myself. I can take care of it myself. So I can swim across the ocean myself because I'm a professional sportsman. Of course, you will last longest, but there are many professional swimmers that have drowned already. And you're not an exception. But you can say, no, I'm the greatest one. Yeah, just keep talking. But how do you know you're great? Well, how do you know? Well, I have competed in so many championships and I have some medals and glories. Everyone knows that I'm the champion of the world in swimming. But even the champions, they die. So how do you cope with it? Kamsa did not believe he would die because he was the most powerful king of that time. No one could actually harm him or hurt him or kill him. Death doesn't ever have any pity. Even Kamsa died. This is just arrogancy. The only way you can get rid of it is getting bhakti. And to also get rid of your false ego. When you say, I am the servant of Krishna, this is the beginning. So gopis, they reached all this perfection because they were trying to reach Krishna. And this is all actually confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. So by knowing Krishna, one automatically acquires all other knowledge. Uddhava continued reading Krishna's message. O gopis, transcendental knowledge of the Absolute is no longer necessary for you. You were accustomed to loving me from the very beginning of your lives. Look what Krishna is saying here. You don't need to study Vedanta Sutra, you don't need to study philosophy or the position of the Absolute. You are above it. From the very beginning of your lives, you already had this love. And everything is in there already. Knowledge of the Absolute Truth is specifically required for persons who want liberation from material existence. But one who has attained love for Krishna is already on the platform of liberation. I stated in the Bhagavad Gita, anyone engaged in unalloyed devotional service is to be considered situated on the transcendental platform of liberation. The gopis did not actually feel any pangs of material existence, but they felt the separation of Krishna. Krishna therefore said, My dear gopis, to increase your super excellent love for me, I've purposely separated myself from you, so that you may be in constant meditation on me. You see, such a cruel practice. For someone it's a bliss, it's a blessing. Someone can say, okay, thanks God. I don't have faith in God, I'm an atheist. But here it says quite another thing. Quite another situation is described. When gopis feel separation with Krishna, you can't even be talking about some material sufferings. This is such a strength of senses, of feelings that do not even understand the duality. They don't even can tell the difference between day and night. They don't care about the age, the condition of their bodies, or marital status, well, everything that materialists are interested in. They just don't pay attention to that. All of these exist there, but they do everything automatically. Well, if you do not make of this matter something divine, it will not matter for you anymore. So some of the servants just said to his king, he was so smart that he could even make fun of the emperor back then. So he could actually ease the tension between the politicians back then. So king said, I just got a baby, so dance, everybody dance. But this guy, he said, you know, it's not so important. It's like using the toilet. It's like using a toilet. You see, you've just had this baby just the same way. But then the kid said, how can you say that? You just insulted me. I'm a king. But this guy, this fool, this clown said that there will come a time and I will prove it to you. But the king said, if you don't prove it, you will suffer, believe me. So I will punish you for this joke. So then, sometime in the future, very early in the morning, the king was lying in bed. So with his full stomach of food he hasn't used his toilet yet. And then this clown, he came up to him and said, wake up, this is urgency, so let's go there. He put him in the boat and they set off. This clown said, I will tell you all this information later. So then it's been like 30 minutes and then a year. So you said the king hasn't used his bathroom yet. And then the king said, whatever it is, I don't care, just stop right here because, please, park the boat near to the shore, I need to use the toilet. So the king went straight to the bushes. He came back very happy. So then this clown says, so what happiness is more? Which happiness is more? So this king, he was laughing half the day after that. So if you just consider all these material things to be like kind of deities, do not deify all these material things. If you get rid of all these names, you will understand that there's nothing in here. This is just an illusion. Do not worship matter. So that's why Gopi, they could do everything automatically. Just like we automatically brush our hair, dress ourselves. Just like sannyasi, what they do, just put this cloth, wrap it around them. They might not even notice the way they do, just like when you brush your teeth. You don't even pay attention to that. Sometimes you don't even remember. Either you've already brushed your teeth or you haven't. Because you do it automatically. So there was one devotee, a very old woman. So she came to our program and she had this artificial teeth. So she was listening to the whole lecture, and then in the very end, when there was a time for prasadam, she said, oh gosh, I forgot my jaw at home. So this is the material existence. So when all these values they just go away, it's like a car, like a machine. And all these names, all these values, everything that we feel, this is just the reflection from above. It's not coming out of your body, not from your mind. A mind acts automatically, and it cannot act differently. So the character that we have, the personality, what can we do about it? Just my mind, it reacts automatically to the things until it identifies itself with the body. when you do not identify yourself with your body, your mind gets liberated. Otherwise, you just act automatically. So Krishna says, you see, I left you on purpose, just so that your feelings for me grow. The gopis are in the perfectional stage of meditation. Yogis are generally more fond of meditating than of executing devotional service to the Lord, but they do not know that the perfection of the yoga system is the attainment of devotion. This constant meditation on Krishna by the gopis is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita to be the topmost yoga. So Krishna knew very well the psychology of women. When a woman's beloved is away, she thinks of him more in meditation than when he is present before her. Krishna wanted to teach through the behavior of the gopis that one who is constantly in trance like the gopis surely attains his lotus feet. You see, it turns out Krishna knows everything, even the psychology of women. This way or another, he has created all this. Of course he knows everything. This is his creation. He knows everything both from inside and outside. Both inside and outside, he's everywhere. Both inside the living entities and outside. He's the living force, thanks to which we live in this earth, on this planet. Our mind, our perception, everything is the energy of Krishna. He's in our hearts as well. He's observing, and that means we have to feel it. Every person should feel it, that he's being observed, he's being watched by God. We can call it differently, but everyone feels it. How? You still have this memory. Animals that don't have this memory, it doesn't remain. You do something that remains in your memory forever. There is an observer that reminds us all about it. I don't even want to, if I even don't want to remember about it, I'm still being reminded about it. Well, if you just replace this part of brain so that I don't remember anything, even if you remove your brain, this memory will still be in your heart. As soon as you get another brain, you will still have this unsatisfaction in your life. So if someone were observing me in my previous life, they will know what to do in this life. So questions. The first one is about the austerities for family life. Well, some family people, they can be just standing on nails. That's how they perform some austerities. I've seen it. Some just limit themselves in food. I saw families that eat very little, even women. It's hard even to imagine how they live like that. Well, these austerities, they were temporary. Well, probably they were doing it just because to develop their health in a better way, but the real austerity should be in your mind. The austerities of body, speech, and your mind. As it's said in Bhagavad Gita, you have to study it. But the most important austerity is the austerity in your mind. Be satisfied with what you have. So that's why our main austerity is to chant holy names. For us, this might be an austerity because we can't control our mind. But when you do control your mind, it's not even austerity. Just vice versa, it's just filling yourself with happiness. This is the source of bliss, the holy name. But for ones who cannot control the mind, it can be very challenging. all spiritual life for an egoistic person is austerity, because he's used to living only for himself. It's hard for him to switch to devotional service. But we get this impulse from associating with the devotees, and then we start practicing. And this is called austerity. So it means studying Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhupada's books, not just reading but understanding. Another austerity is repeating, chanting holy names, following 4 regulative principles for those of people who haven't reached this level yet. But the main austerity is whatever we do is we offer. Whatever we do, we offer to Krishna. So this person might be very powerful because he offers everything to Krishna. He reads Srimad Bhagavatam, he follows regulative principles, and he chants 16 rounds a day. So these are the austerities that we all have to follow. If we all do it, so we are invulnerable to the age of Kali and to all the demons. So there's one more thing for the family people. It's recommended separately. So you have to be patient and you have to make some sacrifices. So Sankirtana Yagya is one of these sacrifices. You can even practice right at home. When a person leaves, you can invite some guests into your place. So read holy scriptures, chant mantras, and also you have to be patient. The main quality in the age of Kali, it's being patient, to be able to be patient. So this is the general information. So if we visit our relatives, family relatives that had cooked for us something, should we just restrain ourselves from eating this food? Well, the answer is sometimes you have to make some compromises. Because in our Western life, our life is actually based more on compromises than on rules. Well, if you practice spiritual life actively, you will survive. You will burn all these karmic disadvantages. But if you are not engaged in devotional service, this will definitely might influence you and drag you down. So during the times of Srila Prabhupada, they would go to places where there are no temples, no devotees. They were supposed to open such centers. They were having some troubles with food, of course. Sometimes they needed to eat karmic bread. Sometimes they had to live on just the same type of grains, the same type of semolina. Of course, we had these stories back in 19th in Russia. We couldn't find any food anywhere, so I had to eat some bread, but in a store, some other things bought in stores, but otherwise we could just faint. There was no other choice. Prabhupada once even said, so even if there are no conditions, no proper conditions, just go there and do it. Do some preaching. If you're engaged in this mission, you'll be protected, don't worry about it. But if you're not engaged in this mission, you have to follow very strict rules. You have to follow the daily routine and follow the regulative principles, otherwise you will just go down. So about chanting mantra, Should I do it in voice out loud? Yes, you have to do it out loud. You have to hear your own voice. Nothing else is connected to our mind as our organs of senses, of perception. So when you say something, this is the thing that is connected, that is tightly connected to your mind. What does it mean when you say Guru takes his disciple to Prabhupada? That means that Guru takes him to the instructions given by Prabhupada. Why do people start believing in God only when he or she has some hard times? Yeah, Kanishta Adhikari, he's a very materialistic kind of person. And everybody, almost everybody is like that. You can only understand God from the material point of view when you have some troubles. For example, you have some disease, that means that God is not satisfied with you. That's what they think. But a devotee thinks that everything is a mercy of Krishna, even some diseases. They think of everything to be a mercy of Krishna. So if you have some work, if you have some job, how do you offer this activity to Krishna? Well, you can offer some fruits of your activities to Krishna. You do make some money, right? So use it to spiritually develop yourself. If you have a lot of money, help someone else to develop spiritually. So there's another question. So in Srila Prabhupada's times, one of the disciples once asked Prabhupada, why does Prabhupada have some very intimate relationships with one disciple and not so good relationships with others? And you've said today that you have to avoid people that make some troubles. So if you're a devotee, how do you make this person troubling you notified about him doing it? How do I do it in a polite way? Well, if you don't know how to say it politely, you'd better not do it at all. You don't want to shock this person. So it's dangerous. Close relationships are okay, but familiarity, it's not a good relationship. This close spiritual connection is necessary. Just don't have this avuncular, familiar relationships. This is dangerous. Everyone starts their relationships distantly, from a distance. This is wisely. But if a person is silly, he acts differently, of course. A wise person, he starts building these relationships from a distance. He studies everything and then he gets closer and closer eventually. Gurus, they do not love materially, in a material sense, only spiritually. We have to know how to do it properly. It happens in his heart. So here you need your own experience of serving, your attention, and then eventually you get closer to each other. Inseparably. So there's another program in 15 minutes, so I think we have to probably finish here.
Это деревня, что ли? Это деревня. Ну, деревня, я знаю, это французский деревня.
So there's an indistant
Сравнивать ладно.
chat between the Guru Maharaj and the devotees.
Да, это красивая страна. Франция. Это Прабхупада ки джай.
Shila Prabhupada ki jai. Guru Maharaj ki jai.